What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Let me kick it with you, ladies and gentlemen, really quickly because being downtown today and it's pretty late, right? Like I'm literally going to upload this right after I record it to make sure that you guys get this as soon as I get my thought process out, because I was downtown today, right? Leaving the office, and of course I was out and exploring, and I wanted to record on the scene because it was a concert at Little Caesars Arena, and it was a lot of people out and about, and the city is nice, and the weather is great, and all of that, right? And so I get out the car, and I'm about to record, and I see kind of like a conversation pop off, and it was with a white man and a white woman, and it was almost like she was just like talking down to him, and she was speaking to him like he was a child. I mean, like reading him the riot act, being loud in front of everybody. And it's something that you don't normally see because people in general, not just women, not just black women, not just white women, whatever, people in general, they tend to be a little bit more reserved when they not ghetto or come from a certain cultural norm. They tend to be a little bit more reserved, and they like to keep their business either on social media or they like to keep it within their own household. You don't usually see it happening in the general public in a downtown area where everybody is navigating, and for there to be a huge drama and there's police around that's really directing traffic back and forth and all of that. You don't really see that, right? And the one mistake that he made was he lost frame. He lost frame. It was like she was nagging and nagging, and then she got a little bit louder and a little bit louder and a little bit more dramatic. And the minute that he lost frame is the minute that he started getting himself into a situation that he couldn't get himself out of, because she started turning up more, which then invited the police. Then they had to sort it out, and then everybody was sitting in the back of a cop car apparently. And I'm just watching this whole thing. I should have pulled out my camera and recorded it, but I wound up not recording the video down there because they were drawing too much attention and I wasn't even parked the right way. But anyways, long story short, what I've seen guys do on a regular basis, and it's not necessarily your fault because, you should be able to reciprocate the same energy, but society has dictated that we don't. But more importantly, I see guys all the time, whether it be on the panels or on the Hey Q show on Monday night, or with conversations with women that you see happening in real time, guys lose frame, and losing frame is a losing situation. 10 times out of 10, you cannot, under any circumstance, ever lose frame. If my chick start getting into a certain mode, or she start feeling a certain way, then I don't entertain it. I don't go back and forth. And then I'll just sit there and I'll just look at her, and then, you know what I'm saying? It's not that she's yelling or anything like that, but I can tell that she's getting a little antsy and that she's itching to have a conversation. And if I'm not controlling it, if I'm not maintaining frame, and if everybody is emotional, then it's not going to be a productive conversation for both of us. And so I'm just looking at her. I'm just chilling. I'm like, that's interesting. So I'm chilling and I'm vibing and I'm hearing everything that she's saying. And so I'm paying attention, right? And then when she stopped and she's like, she'll ask a question. I'm like, I'm just waiting on you. You know what I'm saying? To get yourself together so that we can really get to the bottom of this, right? Or it may just be her nagging or talking or whatever like that, and she just wants somebody to listen to her, or she just want to get something off of her chest, and I'm able to read that accordingly. But the minute that you start getting emotional is the time that everything just goes off the rails, because, and it's unfortunate, right? Like, it's almost like a who's there for their strong friend type of thing, and that you should be able to vent, and you should be able to vent, but you have to do it a certain way. I seen a guy lose frame, and it's not just as it relates to controlling the women that's around you, but it's also being in control of the situation, because emotions are no good for anybody. And anytime anybody make a decision based off of being in their emotions, it's never going to work out. It's never going to be a smart decision. I don't care if you're in a relationship or in corporate America or your business. The minute that you lash out, we seen what happened with Keith Lee over in Atlanta, and people fumbled the bag because they was in their emotions. And then it affected their businesses and other people's businesses because they didn't think it through. They didn't maintain frame. And they didn't understand that this is going to pass too. And people are going to come back to the restaurant, or they're going to go back, with their regular lives. But they made it a bigger situation than it had to be, similar to what was happening downtown in Detroit today, when I seen that the guy and the girl going back and forth, right? And even when it comes to being overly sharing of your emotions with women, right? And they're going to tell you, and we seen it happen on the panel a couple weeks ago, and they're going to tell you, oh, it's okay or whatever. But the first thing that's going to come out of their mind once they realize that you ain't in frame like you supposed to, when they start to look at you a little bit different than how you presented yourself in the beginning, it's going to be a who hurt you. It's going to be, I don't respect you. And it's not even going to be them saying they don't respect you. They're not going to respect you because it's going to be a part of their demeanor when they're communicating with you. And I'm telling you, a lot of people don't understand it. They don't get it. But I'm telling you, if you are not maintaining frame 100% of the time, you don't come out of frame. You don't go back and argue. You don't raise your voice. It's okay to be passionate about what you're talking about. And that's okay when it comes to raising your voice. But when it comes to raising your voice and arguing and going back and forth, never in a million years am I going to sit here arguing back and forth with people when I'm in control of the situation. And the first person to jump, the first person to leap, the first person to get emotional, the first person to cry, the first person that, want to fight or is gritting their teeth and stuff is the first person to lose. Because I know I got you. I know that I'm in control of you the minute that you start acting like you ain't got no sense and you want to jump off the bridge because you're emotional about the whole situation. In your emotions, and that is never, ever good for a man, especially when he's in a conversation with a bunch of emotional females that can't even control themselves, and they're going to show you who they are. Let them talk, let them kick it, go back and forth, whatever. But as long as you're controlling the situation, then you in frame. And the minute that you lose your composure, the minute that you find yourself at odds and you want to match her energy, is the minute that she won. And she's always going to get the benefit of the doubt, especially if it's a domestic dispute, especially if you're in front of other people. And we still got these simps that want to come out here and save them. We're going to have a guy that's ready to crash out. It's always going to be somebody that validate her emotions when she get home. And it's just not going to be a good situation at all. And unless you get yourself together, unless you learn how to control yourself, unless you learn how to control your emotions and stay in frame, then you will control the situation and it cannot be used against you. All right? Because ain't nobody trying to get into it with nobody or argue with somebody that, is controlling the situation and controlling themselves. Because you can't manipulate them and you can't get them to do something that they don't want to do. At that point, they just got to crash out or they got to lie on you, but that's a whole nother conversation. Listen, I love you. I appreciate you. I thank you guys for continuing to rock with me. Make sure you tap into the Millionaire Morning Show. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. We just came from the DC meetup and it was awesome. And we got the Invest in Your Business series that's coming later on this month. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm out. Peace.